Have you ever felt like you're being overlooked, even after all the years of hard work and dedication you've put into your family, career, or community? Do you struggle with the pressure to constantly please others, especially as you grow older? What if I told you that the key to happiness in your later years is actually in letting go of these expectations and embracing your true self? In today's video, we're diving deep into the emotional challenges that come with aging. Challenges like feeling unappreciated or undervalued by those closest to you. But here's the twist. Recognition doesn't always need to come from others. I'll share powerful insights on how you can begin to find fulfillment, not through external validation, but by celebrating your own life and contributions. And we're not stopping there. You'll learn how the need to please others can drain your energy, and why, as you age, it's time to stop bending over backward for everyone else's approval. Instead, I'll show you how to prioritize your happiness, set healthy boundaries, and finally focus on living authentically in your later years. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to shift your mindset, reclaim your peace, and enjoy deeper, more genuine relationships with those who truly matter. Plus, I'll share why letting go of the habit of people-pleasing can lead to more freedom and joy than you ever thought possible. If you're ready to embrace a more fulfilling and authentic life, stick around. You won't want to miss this. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Envy and jealousy. Envy and jealousy are feelings that often arise in response to something deeply personal, the insecurities or unrealized dreams of those around you. It's so easy to internalize their resentment, especially when it comes from people you care about or have invested time and energy into. But the truth is, this resentment rarely has anything to do with you. It's not about your actions. It's about the struggles that others are grappling with, often silently. Your stability, whether it's financial, emotional, or relational, can shine a light on the places in their lives where they feel unsettled, uncertain, or unfulfilled. Take your financial security, for instance, a product of years of hard work, sacrifice, and discipline. It's something you've earned, a reflection of your effort and perseverance. Yet, for someone who's facing ongoing financial struggles, even your success can feel like an overwhelming reminder of their own perceived shortcomings. The same can be true for your long-lasting, happy marriage or the close, loving bonds you've nurtured with family. These deep, meaningful connections you've built, often through years of effort and patience, might stir feelings of regret or sorrow in someone who's experienced heartbreak, loss, or broken relationships. Your quiet, steady confidence, the kind that has blossomed after overcoming life's many challenges, can unintentionally highlight the vulnerability and self-doubt that others may still be struggling with. I know it's not easy, though. The sting of their envy can feel deeply personal, especially when it comes from those who should, in theory, be your biggest supporters. It's hard not to take it to heart when someone you care about seems resentful or uncomfortable with your successes. But this, too, is where your wisdom can guide you. With time, you've learned to navigate the complexities of human emotions with grace, understanding that their envy is not a reflection of your worth or value, but rather a mirror of their internal battles. You've learned that it's not your responsibility to ease their discomfort or to apologize for the life you've worked so hard to create. You can't control how others feel, nor should you ever feel compelled to dim your light just to make someone else feel better. That would be dishonoring the journey you've walked and the strength you've cultivated along the way. Instead, respond with compassion, understanding, but also firmness. Acknowledge their feelings without internalizing them, without allowing them to erode your sense of self. This doesn't mean you should tolerate bad behavior or let others disrespect you. No, you've earned the right to stand firm in your truth, to live authentically, and to celebrate the life you've built without guilt. Your accomplishments are a testament to your resilience, your perseverance, and your character. They are yours, and they deserve to be acknowledged. Not hidden, not minimized, not apologized for because they make someone uncomfortable. Let them see your light, even if it feels too bright for them to bear. Your life, your wisdom, your achievements. These are beautiful things, and they're a quiet yet powerful testimony to the strength and grace you've embodied over the years. In the end, the key to navigating envy and jealousy lies in the relationships that truly matter. Seek out those who will celebrate you, and who will find joy in your success because it's a reflection of the possibilities in their own lives. These are the people who see your victories not as a source of competition, but as a beacon of inspiration. Surround yourself with those who admire your journey and who will support you as you continue on your path, not despite your accomplishments, but because of them. When you make space for these meaningful connections, the sting of envy and resentment fades. You learn to protect your peace, to honor the dignity of your own story, and to live with the authenticity you've earned, unapologetically. Your life becomes a living example of what resilience, grace, and quiet strength look like. And that, my friend, is something worthy of celebration, no matter how others perceive it. Let your life be a reflection of the beauty and power that come from staying true to yourself, no matter the challenges, no matter the envy. You deserve that peace, and you owe it to yourself to embrace it fully. 2. Misunderstandings and ineffective communication. As we grow older, one of the most painful challenges can be the gradual erosion of meaningful communication with those around us, particularly with younger generations. It's easy to forget how significant generational differences can be when it comes to how we express ourselves and how others interpret our words. For those of us who have lived through decades of change, the world we grew up in valued directness, clarity, and a straightforward approach to conversation. We learned that honesty was the best policy and that telling people what you think, no matter how blunt, was often the best way to show you cared. But in today's world, that same directness can come across as harsh, even cruel, to younger ears. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? You offer advice with the best of intentions, because you've lived through so much because you want to protect and guide, but sometimes your words land in a way you never intended. What felt like a simple expression of concern or life experience can easily be misinterpreted as criticism, judgment, or worse, as being out of touch. You can sense it in their reactions, the way their posture stiffens, or their eyes narrow, as though your words have somehow wounded them. You're left wondering how something so well-meaning could have caused such distance. But the truth is, these misunderstandings rarely come from malice. They stem from differences in how we communicate, in the language and tone we use, and in the cultural context that has shaped us. A quick, frustrated remark, perhaps made out of concern or even fatigue, can be misread as judgment instead of genuine care. It's like a small crack that deepens over time. The cracks grow wider, and suddenly, those little moments of misunderstanding build into walls that you didn't even realize were there. Soon, conversations that once flowed easily become awkward, strained, or even avoided altogether. The younger generation may start pulling away, perhaps without even realizing why. They might assume you won't understand their perspective, or worse, they might begin to believe you're unwilling to try. It's painful, this growing distance. You feel yourself becoming invisible, misunderstood, or then rejected. But here's the thing. These misunderstandings don't have to define the relationship. They can be a doorway to deeper understanding if we approach them with the right mindset. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. I've learned that the key to breaking down these walls is empathy. It requires an intentional shift, making the effort to truly listen, not just respond. When you sense that a conversation is beginning to veer off course, ask questions. Don't rush to offer advice or share your own experience. Instead, ask them to share more about how they see things. You might be surprised at how much closer it brings you to their world. A simple "tell me more about how you see it" can open up a conversation in a way that's non-threatening, that shows you genuinely care about their perspective, even if it's different from yours. And if your words are misinterpreted, don't just let it fester. Gently clarify, taking responsibility for how your message may have been received. A soft, "That's not quite what I meant, let me explain," can go a long way towards smoothing over a tense moment. At the same time, don't be afraid to share how you feel. If you feel overlooked or misunderstood, it's okay to express that too, as long as it's done with respect and a desire for understanding, not defensiveness. Conversations should never feel like battles to win. They are opportunities to connect, to grow, and to bridge the gap between two people, no matter how far apart you may seem. It might not always be easy, and there will be times when the misunderstandings are too deep or too complicated to resolve in a single conversation. But by choosing to be patient, by choosing to listen with an open heart, and by being willing to adjust your approach without abandoning your authentic self, you can make a real difference. Those small, daily efforts to understand and be understood will leave a lasting impact, not just on the relationship, but on how others view your willingness to grow, adapt, and evolve alongside them, even as you age. In the end, it's about remembering that communication isn't just about words. It's about connection. The kind of connection that goes beyond what's said and reaches into the unspoken understanding that comes with love, patience, and the willingness to meet each other halfway. 3. Differences in values and core beliefs. As we age, our values and core beliefs gradually become an indelible part of our identity, solidified through the countless experiences we've had over the years. These values, whether they center around our work ethic, our vision of family, the role of faith, or how we view societal structures, are not merely abstract ideas but a reflection of who we've become. They're deeply intertwined with our sense of self and how we navigate the world. However, in today's rapidly shifting landscape, it's hard to ignore the reality that the younger generations often hold vastly different views. These differences can sometimes be jarring, creating a rift that feels difficult to bridge, and at times, even sowing seeds of tension or resentment. You might value the discipline and responsibility that come with a structured routine, a firm belief that hard work and commitment are the cornerstones of success. In contrast, younger people, raised in an era that celebrates flexibility, innovation, and individual expression, may see these qualities as restrictive or even outdated. The concept of work ethic itself can be a point of contention. To you, it might be a deep, unwavering commitment to doing what needs to be done, but to them, it could appear as a rigid and limiting approach to life. I felt this friction, too. When you've lived a certain way for so long, the sudden challenge to those beliefs can feel like a personal affront. Similarly, when it comes to more personal subjects like marriage, parenting, or how we engage with societal issues, the divide can feel even more pronounced. The values that once seemed universally accepted now seem foreign or irrelevant to younger generations. You might believe in traditional family roles or the sanctity of certain customs, and yet those very beliefs may be questioned, even dismissed, by others who have been raised with different ideals. It can be hard not to feel misunderstood or, worse, judged. In such a fast-moving world, where change is not just constant but often radical, it can be difficult to reconcile these differences without feeling like you're losing something essential about yourself. I've often wondered if my own experiences, the lessons learned from the struggles of my generation, can ever truly resonate with those who've grown up in such a different context. But what we must understand, at least on a deeper level, is this: our values are not arbitrary or unyielding. They are born from the lives we've lived. They reflect our stories, our triumphs, and our losses. But just as we have a lens through which we view the world, so too do the younger generations. Their lens is shaped by their own stories and their journeys. This doesn't mean we must abandon our beliefs or compromise on what we hold dear. Not at all. But it does require us to look beyond the surface of these generational divides. I've come to realize that understanding their perspectives doesn't mean I have to agree with them. It simply means I'm opening myself to their experiences, trying to see the world through their eyes, a step that fosters respect. In these conversations, curiosity should replace judgment. Instead of engaging in a battle of right and wrong, ask, why do they see things this way? You don't have to change your views, but by expressing genuine interest, you allow room for dialogue rather than conflict. One powerful way to help them understand where you're coming from is by sharing the stories that shaped your values. These stories, often laden with emotion, hardship, and hard-earned wisdom, carry a depth that can be difficult to convey through mere words. When I've shared my own experiences with younger people, I've found that it opens a door to connection. They may not agree with everything I say, but they begin to understand the why behind my values. It becomes less about defending my beliefs and more about connecting through shared human experiences. And let's be honest, not every difference needs to be resolved. Some beliefs are so deeply rooted that they may never fully align, and that's okay. What matters most is finding those areas where we can connect, whether it's a mutual love for family, a shared commitment to kindness, or a collective desire to make the world a better place. These common threads, these simple yet profound things, can transcend even the widest divides. By embracing openness and mutual respect, we honor our values while allowing others to do the same. This approach creates a space where differences aren't seen as threats but as opportunities for growth. It's a way of building bridges, not walls. It's not about having the last word but about fostering understanding, something far more valuable. In the end, the real gift we can offer one another, regardless of age, is the legacy of respect and empathy. It's something that transcends generations, enriching our lives and the lives of those who come after us. For me, this is where the true connection lies, in acknowledging both our shared humanity and our beautifully unique journeys. 4. The influence of gossip and rumors in close circles. As we age, there's a subtle shift that occurs within our social circles, whether within a neighborhood, a retirement community, or even within our own extended families. Gossip and rumors, those toxic whispers that seem to spread like wildfire, become an almost inevitable presence in our lives. It can be heartbreaking to realize that as we grow older, some of the people we've trusted or shared precious moments with can become the very ones who perpetuate hurtful and often malicious stories. These rumors rarely contain the full truth. More often than not, they are distorted half-truths or outright lies, spun from thin air to create a sense of drama or importance. The real damage lies not just in what's being said, but in how easily people, those who claim to know you best, believe and pass on these falsehoods without ever questioning their authenticity. It's as if the mere act of repetition somehow transforms fiction into fact. I think we can all agree that gossip often stems from deeper insecurities or boredom in others. When people's own lives feel stagnant or lacking, they might find themselves grasping at anything they can to feel relevant. They twist stories, embellish the truth, and in doing so, create a narrative that brings a strange sense of excitement to their otherwise uneventful existence. And, sadly, sometimes you become the target of this. In our later years, people may gossip about our past decisions, our finances, our health, or even the people we cherish most. These rumors, though seemingly harmless on the surface, can be deeply damaging. They erode trust and sow seeds of doubt, leaving you feeling misunderstood, alienated, and at times even betrayed by those closest to you. It's painful, excruciating, even, when someone you once trusted distances themselves because of something they've heard, not from your own words or actions, but from a distorted narrative crafted by others. The impact of this can leave you questioning the very nature of the relationships you've spent years nurturing. People you once believed to be your friends or family members start treating you differently, even though you've done nothing to deserve it. Their actions are no longer influenced by who they truly are, but by the distorted versions of themselves painted by idle gossip. And that, I think, is where the real emotional pain lies. It's not just the rumors themselves, it's the change in how others view you, based on the lies they've accepted as truth. Fighting back against gossip requires both inner strength and a strategic approach. The first and perhaps most important thing is to stay grounded in who you are. Hold on to your values, your authenticity, and your truth. No matter how loud the rumors get or how many people try to twist your story, your integrity is your greatest defense. Over time, the people who truly know you, who've seen your actions and felt your kindness, will see through the lies. They'll know the truth of who you are, and that will be what matters. It's also crucial not to get caught up in the impulse to react defensively. I've learned that reacting with anger or bitterness only fuels the fire. Instead, when confronted with gossip, try to stay calm. Address the situation with a clear, composed response, focusing not on engaging in a battle of words, but on clarifying the misunderstanding. A simple, measured response, like "I heard that this is being said about me, but it's not true, and here's why," can go a long way in dispelling falsehoods without getting wrapped up in the drama. However, not every rumor deserves your time or energy. You don't have to fight every battle. Sometimes, silence is the strongest weapon you have. Protecting your peace and investing energy in relationships that truly matter should always take precedence. In the end, remember this: gossip speaks more about the people spreading it than it ever will about you. Their focus on negativity and need to tear others down reflects their insecurities and pain. It says nothing about your worth. By maintaining your integrity and staying centered, you send a powerful message that your character isn't shaped by the false stories others try to tell. Your worth is built on something far stronger, something that cannot be tarnished by idle gossip. The more you remain true to yourself, the clearer it will become to others that no amount of whispered lies can shake the foundation of who you truly are. 5. Personal insecurities and projection. One of the more insidious, yet profoundly impactful reasons people may harbor resentment toward you stems not from anything you've done, but from their insecurities. It's a subtle, almost invisible force that shapes their feelings and actions, and when it manifests, it can be deeply hurtful. As we age, the stakes of these insecurities grow larger, often leading people to project their fears, doubts, and sense of inadequacy onto others. This projection occurs when others are confronted with the qualities they wish they had, or the struggles they have yet to overcome, reflected in someone else's life, someone like you. For example, if you've managed to maintain your health while others around you are battling physical limitations or chronic conditions, their discomfort can quickly turn to envy or frustration. They may even lash out, not because of any fault of yours, but because your vitality serves as a stark contrast to their vulnerabilities. It's as though your health, your energy, your very presence becomes a reminder of what they fear losing or what they feel they have already lost. It can be so difficult for them to watch you thrive when they are still fighting to hold on. Similarly, if you've built financial stability or nurtured strong, loving relationships with family and friends, this can unknowingly highlight areas where others may feel they've fallen short. Maybe they see your success and wonder, "Why didn't I do the same?" Or "How come I couldn't make the same choices?" Your achievements, whether in health, wealth, or relationships, can act as a mirror, showing them, most painfully, the gaps in their own lives. And that mirror can be hard to face. This discomfort often turns into resentment, a resentment that has very little to do with you, but everything to do with their internal struggle with themselves. What's even more complicated is how this projection intertwines with the fears we all face about aging. As we grow older, we are constantly confronted with time, the fragility of our bodies, and the impermanence of our lives. If someone is struggling with these truths, they may project their frustrations and insecurities onto you. Maybe they feel threatened by the very fact that you are aging gracefully, while they feel trapped in their fears about time slipping away. Their insecurities might manifest in seemingly harmless comments about your age, or dismissing your opinions as irrelevant. They do this not because of anything you've done or said, but because your presence, your wisdom, and your calm in the face of time reminds them of the very things they fear the most. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This kind of emotional projection can be incredibly painful, especially when it feels as though people are criticizing you simply for existing as you are. But understanding this dynamic, understanding that their resentment is more about their inner battles than your actions, can provide you with a certain level of peace. When someone directs their anger or coldness toward you, instead of taking it personally, try to view it through the lens of their insecurity. Ask yourself, is this their fear talking? Their pain? Their struggles? This doesn't mean their behavior is excusable, but it helps you detach emotionally from the hurt they might try to inflict. In doing so, you can create the emotional space to respond with compassion rather than reacting out of anger or frustration. However, compassion doesn't mean you have to tolerate continuous negativity. There's a delicate balance between understanding someone's insecurities and protecting yourself from the toxicity of their projections. If someone's constant insecurity is wearing you down, it's more than okay to set boundaries. You don't need to keep absorbing their negativity just to be kind. Protecting your peace is not only essential for your well-being but also a powerful act of self-care. Sometimes, distancing yourself from that energy is the best way to honor who you are and what you've worked so hard to build in your life. When these moments of projection occur, remind yourself, deeply and without reservation, that their feelings are not a reflection of you. They are a reflection of their struggles, their emotional limitations, and their unresolved fears. You have earned the right to be proud of the person you've become, the wisdom, the resilience, the strength you've cultivated over time. When you hold your ground, remember that this is not about you being better or more successful than anyone else, but simply that you've learned to walk a path they are still grappling to find. Your journey is yours, and you can hold your head high in the face of their discomfort. In the end, it's not about what others think of you. It's about the life you've built, the lessons you've learned, and the person you've become. By continuing to stay centered, protect your peace, and navigate these difficult interactions with compassion, you can maintain your emotional balance and move forward with grace. You deserve to keep living your truth, regardless of how others may choose to project their fears onto you. Your light is not their burden to bear. It's yours. 6. Lack of empathy and understanding. As we grow older, one of the most painful and unexpected challenges we face is the growing lack of empathy and understanding from those around us, particularly from younger people who may not take the time, or even make the effort, to fully grasp the intricacies of our experiences. Aging is not just a physical process. It is emotional, mental, and deeply personal. Yet, so often, others fail to see the invisible burdens we carry. They don't understand the weariness in our bones, the emotional weight of past losses, or the quiet fear that sometimes creeps in with each new day. They don't see the small, yet significant, adjustments we make just to get through our daily lives. And this lack of understanding can be crushing. People, especially those younger than us, often view us through a lens that is too narrow and superficial. They may mistake the slower pace with which we now navigate the world for hesitation, indecision, or inefficiency, rather than acknowledging that it's simply an adjustment we're making to meet the changing realities of our bodies and minds. When we take longer to make decisions, it's not because we are lost in confusion, but because we've learned the value of patience, reflection, and thoughtful consideration over the years. And yet, too often, these actions are met with impatience or condescension. Family members, in particular, may dismiss our wisdom as outdated or irrelevant, failing to recognize that what they perceive as resistance to change is, in reality, a deep well of experience informing our choices. This lack of empathy isn't necessarily rooted in malice or cruelty, but in ignorance, and yet, it still stings. It hurts because it feels like we're being dehumanized, reduced to a stereotype of someone who's just slowing down or losing touch with reality. The most painful aspect of this lack of empathy is how it leaves us feeling invisible. Younger people, absorbed in their fast-paced, go-go-go lives, rarely stop to think about how their words or actions might affect us. They often forget that behind every wrinkle, every gray hair, and every slower step is a life that has been lived. A life filled with joys and sorrows, triumphs and losses. When they minimize the physical and emotional challenges we face, they inadvertently deepen our sense of isolation. Managing our health, coping with loss, dealing with the fading of social connections, it all takes a toll. But in their hurry, they can't, or won't, see how much these things shape our daily reality. They often don't understand the mental and emotional strength it takes to face another day. The small, seemingly insignificant things that they breeze through with ease can feel like insurmountable obstacles for us. And when we try to explain these struggles, we often encounter a wall of indifference or impatience, making us feel even more disconnected and alienated. What's even harder is the emotional distance that grows between us as a result. We're left trying to bridge an ever-widening gap, one that is fueled by a lack of empathy, a lack of understanding, and, ultimately, a lack of connection. It's as though, in the eyes of others, we're no longer fully human, just a shadow of our former selves. And while we may have learned to cherish our solitude and embrace our quieter lives, it doesn't mean we don't crave deep, meaningful connections. But when those connections feel strained or superficial, when people stop truly seeing us for who we are, it becomes even harder to navigate the emotional landscape of aging. To close this gap, to begin healing, open communication is essential. But it's not always easy. It requires us to find the courage to share our vulnerabilities and to explain gently and calmly what we need others to understand. Instead of bristling defensively at the impatience we encounter, we might say something like, "I appreciate your help, but please understand that this task takes me longer now," or "I know I'm moving at a different pace, but it's just how my body works now." These words might not always be met with immediate understanding, but they open the door to empathy. They invite others to walk a little bit in our shoes, to see the world from our perspective. And while not everyone will take that step, at least we will have tried. And here's something crucial. It's okay if not everyone responds with empathy. Not everyone will. But that doesn't mean we are alone in this journey. We have the right to set boundaries with those who continuously disregard our experiences, our needs, and our perspectives. Protecting our emotional well-being is not only a necessity, it is a form of self-respect. Instead of pouring energy into relationships that drain us, we must seek out those who are willing to listen, understand, and meet us with kindness and patience. Surrounding ourselves with people who value us for who we are, rather than for what we can still do or offer, is essential. Empathy, at its core, is an exchange. It begins with us showing it and modeling it for others. The more we approach others with patience and compassion, the more likely we are to foster understanding and, hopefully, genuine connection. Even when there are misunderstandings, if we lead with empathy and honesty, we lay the groundwork for richer, more meaningful relationships. Because at the end of the day, what we all long for, no matter our age, is to be seen, to be heard, and to be truly understood. And that is the most precious gift we can offer to one another as we grow older. 7. Competitiveness or rivalry. As we age, the dynamic of competition or rivalry doesn't simply fade into the background. Instead, it often morphs into something more subtle, yet just as potent. The competitive spirit doesn't vanish with the passing years. It becomes more nuanced, woven into the fabric of our social circles, our families, and even among our closest, longtime friends. The need to compare ourselves to others, whether it's in terms of achievements, health, or relationships, often lingers in ways that are quieter, more insidious, but still very much alive. This kind of comparison isn't always spoken aloud, but it's felt in the air, sometimes as a quiet resentment, a weight on the heart that no one acknowledges directly, but everyone senses. Rivalry in older age can feel like a silent undercurrent running through otherwise peaceful interactions. You might find that someone close to you, a sibling, a friend, begins to pull away or act distant because they feel that your life has turned out more successful and more fulfilling than theirs. It's a quiet sting that can be so deeply ingrained that it becomes almost invisible, yet it can tear at the foundation of relationships. For example, perhaps your sibling feels a sharp pang of jealousy when they see how often your children visit you, or they resent the financial security you've built over the years, a security they may struggle to attain. Or maybe a friend, facing health challenges of their own, can't help but compare their declining mobility with your active lifestyle, leading them to feel bitter and frustrated. These feelings, unspoken, unacknowledged, linger like unhealed wounds, creating tension that may not be immediately obvious but is deeply felt nonetheless. At the core of this rivalry often lies insecurity. It's a painful truth that many people, as they age, begin to feel they're falling behind. They see others, like you perhaps, seemingly thriving, healthier, wealthier, more active, and the feeling of inadequacy begins to fester. They search for someone to measure themselves against, and when they look at you, they see success, and that stirs something they may not fully understand within themselves, a desire to compete, to prove that they, too, have won in life. It's not a conscious thing, but the jealousy sneaks in, often taking root in the most unexpected places. This can be particularly true when long-standing family dynamics are involved, like sibling rivalries that stretch back decades. Those old tensions, which may have simmered under the surface all your life, often resurface in later years, fueled by the perceived scorecard of life. The very things that make you proud, your travels, your hobbies, your family bonds, can unintentionally trigger feelings of envy, even from those you care about most. And yet, navigating these emotions as we get older requires a delicate, thoughtful approach. On the one hand, you should never feel the need to shrink yourself, to dim the light of your happiness or success out of fear that it might make others uncomfortable. You've earned the peace and contentment you have. It's vital to celebrate your achievements, your joys, and your growth without apologizing for them. You deserve to live authentically, without constantly feeling the need to tiptoe around other people's insecurities. But, on the other hand, there is a grace in humility, a quiet understanding that acknowledging the strengths of others, even amid your accomplishments, can help ease those underlying tensions. Sometimes, a simple, heartfelt compliment can work wonders. Telling someone, "I admire how you've kept yourself active despite all the challenges you've faced," can be the very thing that diffuses rivalry and transforms it into mutual respect. If the rivalry continues, though, it's important to remind yourself that someone else's need to compete with you speaks more to their internal struggles than to any reflection of your worth. You are not obligated to play their game. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your worth is not tied to comparison, and the path you walk is yours to define. Rather than engaging in a cycle of competition, focus on fostering relationships based on support, encouragement, and shared joy. Offer words of kindness and be the person who uplifts others, instead of engaging in rivalry that serves no one. True fulfillment comes from building connections that are grounded in genuine appreciation for one another, not in one-upping or outdoing anyone. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. By choosing to rise above the noise of rivalry, and by staying grounded in your truth and path, you preserve your peace, your dignity, and your sense of self. Your success and your contentment, however you define them, are not diminished by anyone else's envy or feelings of inadequacy. They stand as a testament to the life you've built and the person you've become, independent of any external judgment. Let your actions speak for themselves, and never feel the need to prove your worth in the silent contest that others may try to create. True fulfillment, after all, isn't about winning or being better than someone else. It's about living authentically, embracing the person you are, and finding peace in simply being. 8. The influence of social expectations. As we age, society often places invisible chains around us, dictating how we should think, behave, and even feel. These expectations, rigid and unyielding, are often tied to outdated notions about aging. We're supposed to slow down, become less adventurous, and, in many ways, shrink into a smaller version of ourselves. But what happens when we dare to break free from these prescribed molds? When we choose to pursue new passions, voice bold opinions, or embrace choices that society deems unconventional, it can send ripples of discomfort through those around us. It's an uncomfortable truth, but when we begin to live authentically, doing what sets our hearts on fire or simply following our instincts, it forces others to face their fears and insecurities about aging. Those who have settled into the safe, predictable path often feel threatened by our courage to step off that well-worn road. They may experience a subtle, often unspoken, resentment because your choices highlight the limitations they have accepted for themselves. You, by simply living your truth, challenge the very foundation of their beliefs about aging and what's appropriate at this stage in life. Take, for example, the decision to start a new hobby, build a new relationship, or embark on an unexpected adventure. These choices, whether small or significant, can evoke criticism, judgment, or even condescension. They might think, "What is she doing at this age?" Yet, it's precisely because your choices speak to a deep yearning for freedom, for fulfillment, that they stir up discomfort. The act of pursuing what you love is a bold declaration that life does not have to shrink as the years advance. But this is exactly where the tension lies. When you reject the idea that age should limit you, you force others to confront their fear of stepping out of their comfort zone, of possibly facing their regrets. And here's the heart of it: their discomfort is not yours to carry. Society's heavy-handed expectations are not your burden to bear. You have earned every right to live authentically, to pursue what fills you with joy and meaning. This is not an indulgence. It's a necessity. To live without truly embracing your desires is to rob yourself of the fulfillment that life can offer in these later years. You've walked a long road, and now it's time to carve your path, one that aligns with your true self, not the roles others have scripted for you. It can be tempting, in the face of judgment, to become defensive or withdrawn, to apologize for living life on your terms. But I've come to believe that there's another, far more powerful way to respond. Responding with grace is a choice that elevates both you and those around you. When they express discomfort, instead of retreating or defending yourself, offer them a glimpse into your world. Calmly explain how these choices bring light into your life, and how they make you feel more alive, more connected to the world. Make it clear that you are not rebelling, but simply embracing life as fully as you can, given the wisdom of your years. Let them see that this isn't about defying convention. It's about honoring your existence and finding joy in each new chapter. In the end, this is what matters most: living authentically, without fear of judgment or criticism. The truth is, our worth is not measured by society's approval, but by how fully we live in alignment with our values. As we grow older, the most powerful thing we can do is to choose our path unapologetically. We owe it to ourselves, and to those who may need the courage to follow their hearts, to show them that aging is not a time to shrink, but a time to bloom. 9. The lack of recognition. The lack of recognition can be one of the most heart-wrenching and painful experiences, especially as you grow older. It's not just about being overlooked at the moment, but about the deep, silent resentment that builds when you feel invisible, when your contributions, whether to your family, community, or society, are taken for granted as if they no longer hold any significance. As time passes, it can feel as though the sacrifices you've made, the wisdom you've gained, and the hard work you've put into the lives of others have somehow faded into the background, no longer worthy of acknowledgement. This lack of recognition is most deeply felt in family settings. You've dedicated years, decades, perhaps, to raising your children, nurturing relationships, and keeping your home and your family together. You've been the steady hand, the one who cared, who sacrificed, who put others' needs above your own. Yet, as the years go by, it can feel like those efforts are simply forgotten. Your adult children, caught up in their own busy lives, may no longer remember to express gratitude. They're so absorbed in their world that they may forget to pause and truly listen when you speak. Even your grandchildren, who once looked up to you with admiration, may now see you as little more than a distant figure, someone they only visit out of duty or obligation, not someone they turn to for the stories, the wisdom, the history of their family. It's easy to think that the value of your experiences has been overlooked, that your worth has somehow diminished because you're no longer the center of attention. If you once found purpose and validation in your professional career or in contributing to your community, you might now find yourself feeling quietly sidelined, wondering if those achievements are now regarded as insignificant, merely a thing of the past. The world outside may have moved on, leaving you feeling like you're no longer seen, no longer celebrated, no longer relevant. But here's the painful truth. While recognition from others can feel like a balm to the soul, it should never be the sole measure of your worth. It's natural to want appreciation, and to long for acknowledgement, especially from the people you love most. Yet, I've come to realize that the most important recognition is the one you give yourself. You are the keeper of your value. No one can take away the profound impact you've had, whether it's in the lives of your family, the community you've served, or even the quiet, unnoticed ways you've touched others' lives. Their failure to acknowledge you does not diminish your worth, and your legacy is not erased by their forgetfulness. That said, it's also okay to express your feelings. Communication is key. If you feel like your contributions are being ignored, it's important to share that. Expressing how you feel can open doors to deeper connections. Imagine saying to your family, "I'd love to share some stories with you about my life, about what I've learned, and the lessons I've carried with me." Often, people aren't intentionally dismissive, they're simply caught up in their own lives. A gentle reminder might be all that's needed to rekindle the bond, to invite them to see the value in your experiences, and to appreciate the wealth of knowledge you've gained over a lifetime. Ultimately, the most powerful act of self-love is to recognize your worth, to honor the journey you've taken, and to celebrate the lessons you've learned along the way. Yes, the pain of being overlooked is real. It hurts to feel invisible, especially when you've given so much. But you are the legacy you leave behind. Your worth is not tied to whether others see it or not. So celebrate yourself. Be proud of the life you've lived, the love you've given, the wisdom you've accumulated. Surround yourself with those who do recognize you, and who do appreciate the richness you bring to their lives. And most of all, live with the knowing that you are enough, whether or not anyone else ever says it. By embracing your value and finding joy in your contributions, you can rise above the pain of being unnoticed and continue to create a legacy that is uniquely yours, one that no one can ever take from you. Part 2. Stop pleasing everyone, embrace your true self, and live authentically in your later years. As we journey through life, it's so easy to fall into the trap of constantly trying to please others. From a young age, many of us are conditioned to seek approval, to measure our worth based on how well we meet the expectations of those around us. We are told to be agreeable, to accommodate others, to mold ourselves into the version of what others want us to be. Over time, this becomes an ingrained pattern, one that follows us into adulthood and even into our later years. The constant cycle of people-pleasing, however, gradually takes its toll. It may feel like a reflex at first, but eventually, it grows into a heavy burden, one that's hard to carry, especially as we age. It becomes clear that this need to make everyone around us happy is no longer a virtue. It's an exhausting, self-sacrificing habit that leaves us drained and disconnected from our desires. As we grow older, we reach a point where the need for external validation loses its hold. The idea of fulfilling everyone's expectations fades into irrelevance. It often becomes a source of frustration rather than fulfillment. We may begin to realize that we've spent far too many years bending over backward for others, neglecting our desires and needs in the process. At some point, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. The only person we need to please is ourselves. And this realization is not only liberating, it's essential for our happiness in our later years. For many of us, this shift in mindset comes with a mixture of relief and guilt. We've spent so much of our lives prioritizing others that learning to prioritize ourselves feels almost foreign and uncomfortable. But, deep down, we know it's the only way to live authentically. To understand why we feel this need to please others, we must acknowledge the deep-seated fears that fuel this behavior. Often, it's the fear of rejection, the deep hunger for acceptance, and the longing to be seen and valued by others that drives us to seek constant approval. We fear that if we don't meet the expectations of those around us, we'll be judged, ignored, or even despised. These fears, while they may have served us in our youth, helping us build friendships, navigate social dynamics, and succeed in our careers, become less and less relevant as we age. By the time we reach our senior years, the people who truly matter in our lives have already chosen to stay. They've stuck around not because we've bent over backwards to meet their every expectation, but because they love us for who we truly are. This realization is a beautiful and powerful one. It's a reminder that the people who are worth our time, energy, and love are the ones who accept us fully, without conditions. They are the ones who value our genuine selves, not the carefully curated versions of ourselves that we put forward in a constant attempt to please. The process of stepping away from people-pleasing is not without its challenges. It's hard to shake off a lifetime of habits that were formed to earn love and acceptance. And let's face it, trying to meet everyone's expectations can be exhausting, draining our mental and emotional reserves. The constant effort to be agreeable, to put others first, can leave us feeling resentful and, worse, unfulfilled. This can take a heavy toll on our health, especially as we grow older and our time becomes more precious. Our energy isn't as boundless as it once was, and we deserve to use it in ways that honor our true selves. Rather than worrying about the judgment of others, why not take the time to reflect on what truly brings us joy? It's not about becoming selfish or insensitive to the needs of others, but about striking a balance between our happiness and the needs of those we care about. In this stage of life, we have the opportunity to embrace self-care on a deeper level, because self-care is not just about pampering ourselves. It's about reclaiming our time, our energy, and our lives from the exhausting demands of the world. It's about making sure we have the space to nurture our own needs, dreams, and desires without feeling guilty. When we finally choose to focus on what matters to us, we begin to live a life that is aligned with our values, not someone else's. The beauty of letting go of people-pleasing is the profound sense of freedom it brings. No longer weighed down by the opinions and expectations of others, we find the courage to explore our passions, try new things, to dream new dreams. Whether it's pursuing a hobby we've long neglected, learning something new, or simply allowing ourselves the freedom to be, the possibilities are endless. The beauty of this stage in life is that we have the time and space to embrace the things we love without the fear of judgment holding us back. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. Perhaps you've always wanted to learn how to paint, to write that novel you've dreamed of, or to finally travel to that destination that's been calling your name for years. The question is, why wait any longer? You deserve to live fully, authentically, and without hesitation. Your time is precious, and there's no better moment than now to start living it for yourself. Moreover, when we stop trying to please everyone, something truly wonderful happens. We start to attract the right people into our lives. We begin to form relationships that are deeper, more meaningful, and more authentic. Rather than filling our lives with people who value us only for what we can do for them, we open ourselves to connections with those who love us simply for who we are. These are the people who will stand by us, who will share in our joys and our sorrows, and who will enrich our lives in ways that are far more fulfilling than the shallow, transactional relationships we may have once maintained. As we move into our later years, we realize that having a small circle of true friends and loved ones, people who see us for who we are and who love us unconditionally, is far more rewarding than trying to maintain a large network of acquaintances who only value us when we meet their needs. Yes, this shift in mindset can be challenging at times. There will always be people who try to make us feel guilty, who pressure us to return to our old patterns of people-pleasing. They may be uncomfortable with our newfound sense of independence and self-respect. But here's the truth: their discomfort is not our responsibility. It's a reflection of their struggles, not a judgment of our worth. Setting boundaries, learning to say no when necessary, and prioritizing our well-being are not acts of selfishness. They are acts of self-love and self-respect. Setting boundaries is one of the most loving things we can do for ourselves in our later years. Boundaries help protect our time, our energy, and our mental health. When we set them, we send a powerful message, not just to others, but to ourselves, that our needs matter too. Ultimately, when we stop living to please others, we begin to live more intentionally. We become more present, more attuned to the beauty of the moment, whether we're spending time with loved ones, savoring a quiet moment of reflection, or enjoying something simple like a favorite meal. We stop worrying about the past and stop stressing about the future, and instead, we embrace the now. We let go of the weight of others' expectations, and we allow ourselves to truly enjoy life for what it is. We find joy in the small things, and we start living with intention and authenticity. And that, my dear friend, is the truest form of freedom. As we wrap up today's discussion, I want to leave you with a powerful question. What have you learned from this journey toward embracing your true self and letting go of the need to please everyone? It's not easy, but it's so worth it. Think about one thing you've discovered today that you can bring into your own life. Whether it's setting boundaries, pursuing a long-lost passion, or simply prioritizing your happiness. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What's one thing you're going to start practicing today? If you enjoyed this video, please share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We're all about embracing freedom, authenticity, and personal growth. So stick around for more content that will help you live your best life, no matter your age. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.